And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. This is the Eastern European Boxing News edition of our show. Once again, and humbled and honored to have our correspondent, our Eastern European correspondent, Eugene. Eugene, how are we doing?
Doing great, Ingram.
I haven't seen much of the Eastern European boxing over the weekend. Do you want to start with that?
Yeah, we could. So
okay, let me get my camera up. Right. Okay, for those of you who are wondering why I've got this odd look, my screen on my actual laptop has gone. The camera is pointing at me, and of course connected to my big screen. So if you've got the bizarre thinking, why are you looking so bizarrely? It's because I'm looking at the main screen to see your comments. Screen, because my screen is cracked, and as soon as I get my screen fixed, I obviously won't be looking at the big screen anymore, which is my TV. So that should explain everything, I think. Just do that. Bang. There we go. Is that okay? You like the color, Eugene?
yeah, seems fine.
Okay, thank you. Right. So let's just have a look and see if there's anybody in the room first and foremost before we start.
No,
so
the logo.
The logo, yes, the logo.
Yeah,
yes, maybe I need to change the color. Yeah, change different color. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, yellow, red, green.
I think green. Let's try green.
Green to go. Okay, let's try then.
Okay.
The logo's still covered. Doesn't make a difference really. I have to do something like logo anyway. It's slightly annoying when it comes on Google. Okay, so Eugene, fire away, my friend.
Oh, he disappeared for a second.
Am I still here?
Yep.
So fire away. I think we'll start with. I think the fight that I didn't even stay up to watch. And Jolina, just please forgive me. I didn't stay up to watch the fight because I thought Kovalev would blast Shabransky out of there in a couple of rounds, and he did just that.
Oh yeah, that was the perfect opponent for him. It was kind of nonsensical because, well, many people are saying, "Oh, the old Kovalev is back," but guys, Shabransky was exactly the opponent that is tailored for Kovalev. He's chinny and he's fighting on the outside. You know, he didn't go to the body, even though many people were saying that's what he practiced in the training camp. So it was just kind of belt grabbing opponent, which is another weird thing because he was ranked number 10, and it sets up an interesting situation right now because Bob Arum pushes Gvozdyk to fight Kovalev.
Okay, and how do you think that fight goes? How do you think that fight goes?
I don't know. See, that's the point, because Gvozdyk has been pretty good so far. He had a little shadow of being uncertain against southpaws. He got dropped by Karpency. He just didn't see that shot coming at all, and you could see that he's not used to fighting southpaws. It's not the case for Kovalev, but I think if he wants a more solid chances of winning instead of taking punishment or going to a really tough fight, he should be focusing more on body work, which again he hasn't been doing that much. I'm talking about Gvozdyk right now. So
okay. I think
that would be his ticket into winning against Kovalev.
I think the whole thing with Kovalev being back, I think they just wanted to get him winning again against a guy. I mean, I read some ridiculous stories. People saying but Shabransky can punch. He's a puncher. He stands a chance punching. He's going to knock people out. If he catches Kovalev, we don't know what's going to happen. And I thought, guy's chinny. And if a guy's chinny against someone like Kovalev, who the one thing Kovalev can do is punch, Kovalev, that's a bad mix. So him get blown out in a couple of rounds, that's what you're meant to do to chinny opponents who can't hold a shot. Dynamite puncher. So Kovalev did what he wanted to do, but it really does mask, for me, it masks what really were the problems in the way he got beat by Ward in the second fight and come back into the fight in the first fight. I know he's got this new trainer he's got, and he says he at one point Kovalev was saying, then he said it was him, then he said the real Kovalev's going to come out. Then he talked about, I heard some story about he believed that John David Jackson drugged him possibly before the second Ward fight. What are your thoughts about all of this?
Well, first of all, I think Kovalev doesn't really learn his lesson, because even when he changed the trainer and like started talking about how he owns his losses, whatever, he was saying, well, now I got a trainer who is from, from post-Soviet countries. I think his trainer is from Uzbekistan or something like that. He's saying, I got a trainer, a real trainer, and I just couldn't help myself but, kind of sit there. Well, he didn't learn anything. It wasn't the trainer. Because, okay, maybe, okay, so after the first fight, he saw that he's vulnerable to body work, right? If someone goes to his body and goes on the inside, he's in the world of trouble. So he should, if it was the trainer, he would have changed it before the second fight and trained exactly for those issues. So he didn't. He just thought, well, I knocked him down in round 2, I think, right? Or what was it? Mm-hmm. So I just need more of the same. So he had overconfidence come into this fight, saying, okay, then I was overtrained and I dehydrated, like I had problems rehydrating whatsoever. Now I feel powerful, like I have all the gas in the tank whatsoever. And the second fight went even worse. Kovalev is a weird thinker, if you can even call him a thinker.
It's is what I call it, highly delusional. And even when he said that in the post-fight interview, I'm sure he had concussion on the chin. He said he didn't feel that punch. His legs registered something different and did a silly little dance.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get knocked out. You don't feel anything for some time. Well, when I was listening to him, he was saying, well, the stopwatch was premature. He rocked me, but I wasn't going down and whatsoever. But he clearly folded in half. So I don't know.
What he's talking about.
Yeah, he's just in a weird place. It's just a matter of time till another person comes in and does exactly what good Ward did, and probably will hear the same excuses.
I'm just waiting for that Andrew Golota moment with Kovalev, leading to a Kovalev moment. Do you remember when when Golota fought Lennox Lewis?
No, I didn't watch that fight.
Well, Golota was a very crazy individual. He would come out and make some of this, say something. He could be a guy completely on top, and he could be a great fighter. I mean, he gave Bo 2 great fights, or he would fold in 2 if he felt intimidated, which he was against Lennox Lewis, and Lewis blew him out in a round. You listen to Golota afterwards. I don't know what Golota was saying afterwards, but to me, Kovalev has got that. To me, now I think he's mentally weak, and I think he's one of these guys that once pressure's put on them, and you can take their punching power, and he can't bully you. he starts to crack and fold. I think it's only a matter of time before we get another one of these statements out cold that he didn't feel the power and he didn't feel the. You know, he's got some big fights ahead of him against guys who punch much harder, to be honest, than Andre Ward. So.
By the way, about Galata, I read some interesting interview. Who was his trainer? I don't remember the name, but I was reading his interview about the training camp before the Lennox Lewis fight, and he was saying it was like we had a giant child in our hands. Like he was saying that he's hurt and he cannot train, which clearly wasn't the case. We were looking at him and he was doing things fine. He just seemed like he didn't want them to do. So they said that they're gonna bring in the doctor and, like, you know, just take some probes or whatever with a big needle, you know, kind of how you scare a child. And at that point, he flipped completely. He's like, "Oh no problem. Let's keep training or whatever." I think there are some parallels, but I think Kovalev have a little bit on the other side of the matter. You know, Galata was not confident when he was coming into a fight with somebody else. You know, Kovalev is overconfident when he's wrong. You know, when he's really wrong, he's super confident. Nothing goes the way he's not predicting, and
he's still a fantastic character, Kovalev. Another crazy man that I heard recently. The man from Kazakhstan, well, he's made the news recently. He said that he doesn't mind having a rematch in Mexico, and to me that sounds very strange, because if he felt that he won the first fight in America, and he didn't get the decision that he and most of his fans wanted or were baying for, what the hell does he think by going to Mexico he's going to win the fight? Can you explain that to me, please?
I think he's just trying to grab the audience. I'm pretty sure they're not going to have a fight in Mexico, just simply from, you know, money perspective. But he is all, you know, selfies in sombrero or whatever, that whole thing. I think he's just pandering to that audience because Mexican audience proved to be really loyal when it comes to some fighters. And I think that's the whole thing he's doing. I don't think the fight is going to happen in Mexico.
Well, Oscar, with the pull of Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo being the pound for pound, well, they're saying the pay-per-view star, possible a fight in Mexico. Strategically, I would take that fight in Mexico. I mean, if I were Canelo, I'd demand the fight in Mexico. Fight him in Mexico. If that was one of the terms he could have to bring the fight to Mexico. You know, paying Golovkin a little bit more. The points, you know, if Carson Jones, Margachito's got anything to go by, and we can follow the lines of that, then you know that there's a good chance if Canelo gets the points and doesn't get knocked out, he win the fight on points. So on the Golovkin story, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of does. But as I said, I don't believe he's gonna do it. It's all talk. That's what I think.
Yeah, people are talking about Mikey saying it's a money grab. We've got a lot of people. We've got a few people joining the room now, so we've got questions already flying off. People in the room. Let's see what people are saying. First of all, let's go right back up the page. Wow, Mikey. He says. Mikey says Kovalev, when talking about Jackson, reminds me of Groves talking about Fitzpatrick not taking responsibility for his defeat, blaming it on the trainer, very much in denial. And then Tube says Jackson is a terrible trainer, but he's questionable. He deserves criticism. Chief says hello to Ingram and Eugene. Mikey turns around and says, no, he isn't. He's not elite, but you simply can't blame defeat on him. It's down to Kovalev. And then Owen's boxing dialogue says, Kovalev deserves same criticism. And fighters hasn't the pedigree as a coach. If you're going to put it on Jackson, says Owen's boxing, Jackson's about it all. But I get the feeling it's a bit of a yes man. Jackson was also making excuses regarding Louis and Danny Jacobs' fight. So there's a lot talking about Jackson. What are your thoughts on it, Eugene?
I don't know how much, like how Jackson is as a trainer, but I know the attitude that Kovalev has towards him, and basically he felt like Jackson was not a suitable trainer, meaning in experience, you know. Basically, from the first day, he was in some interview, he was telling Kathy Duva that well, he kind of learns from me and not me from him. He's pointless. What is the point of having him in the camp and whatsoever? He's there to do the pad work or whatever. You know, you kind of sense that even if Jackson wanted to give him something, it wouldn't be really possible.
Okay. So. Well, here's a question. If Kovalev knew before the Ward fight that Jackson wasn't good enough for him, or in his terms that American trainers were shit, then Jackson in the biggest fight of his career. Why would you take him into two? You take him into the first fight. You take him into the. Why would you do it? Why would you take Jackson to the biggest fight of your career? Bad trainer when he fought Pascal, when he fought Cleverly. Didn't seem a bad trainer then. So why is he suddenly a bad trainer now?
Well, I think Kovalev gets really frustrated when he cannot get a knockout, and when he was fighting Chilemba in Russia, he actually mentioned that fight as the beginning of the downfall. And to me, it was kind of weird because so before that, everything went right, but now you cannot knock out Chilemba, you cannot knock out Ward, and it was all like your trainer's fault. It was really weird because I don't think he even believed at the moment it was trainer's fault, but when it came to him owning the L, he just started to look for somebody to hang in on.
Okay. Owen's boxing dialogue says no one in the light heavyweight division is afraid to take that fight with him after Ward showed the blueprint. So they'll have to match Kovalev carefully. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Any top 5 has solid chance of blasting him out of there, and he's vulnerable. Everyone knows that. Like, we don't know what kind of dough Bevo is made of. We don't know what kind of dough Bitter BF is made of. They're both champions now, WBA and IBF. But you know, Kovalev exposed everything he could about himself.
Did you hear about a story? I did ask Mazone. What's her name again? Sorry. Again, just said the name a second ago. Just mentioned the lady's name. Well, she was the vice president for main events, and I asked her if John David Jackson dropped Kovalev with a body shot. She didn't know anything about that. Did you hear anything about that story?
I heard about that story, but again, it's words versus words, because that can be possible, and I see why nobody would talk about it, even if they knew that it would be true. So, you know, imagine that if your trainer, being in his 50s, drops your crusher. What does that mean? No one's gonna admit it. Or it can be nonsense. I can see it as well, but you know.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, you hear sparring stories. You hear sparring stories. You hear many sparring stories. But when you hear that particular story of getting dropped by a body shot, and then you hear the resentful comments coming out of John David Jackson's mouth, and the comments coming out of Kovalev's mouth, something happened. Something's happened. And it's not like Jackson knocked Kovalev out in sparring. That I'd find slightly in the tail a bit too far. But a trainer dropping with a body shot, it's all possible, especially if you're on the pads. I've seen trainers do it. You're on the pads, trainer's got the pads off, and the trainer slips one into your body, and your body's not strong, and he throws a body shot and drops you.
Yeah, well, they're saying he dropped him, not knocked him out or whatever. Just,
That's what I'm saying,
you take a knee, you got dropped.
Which means it makes it more realistic that it could have happened. That's not good for the Crusher, is it?
I can see argument for both of those sides, but again, it's speculation, you know. It's like...
There was also rumors that Kovalev turned up drunk to sparring and mouthed off at Jackson whenever he gave instructions.
I have difficulty imagining that, simply because, well, you can think about world-class athletes as more or less professionals, and I've heard stories that basically he would be handover sometimes coming to the training camp or whatever. But again, he always denies that sort of stuff. So again, the camp rumors are really complicated, because you have somebody like David Hayes saying that Helenius knocked out Klitschko, right, when he was preparing for Joshua fight. I don't see it just possible with what Helenius showed us recently.
No, against Dillian White, no chance.
Yeah, so
I don't see that either. Going back to somebody mentioned about the Golovkin knocking out Kovalev and sparring. That information originally came out on this channel with Abel Sanchez when we asked Abel Sanchez about Sergey Kovalev and Golovkin. Abel Sanchez said that intimidated Kovalev, and he also said that Golovkin hits harder than Kovalev, and Kovalev was scared of sparring Golovkin. I said that Kovalev only had a few fights at the time. Golovkin. That's what I heard.
Well, again, we're now debating about how hard does Golovkin hit, because it seems like as soon as he ramped up his opposition, nobody's getting dropped. So he struggled against Jacobs. He kind of dropped him, but then couldn't finish him, so he couldn't capitalize on it. Now he's fighting Canelo, and Canelo ate some good punches as well, but it didn't work as good. So I don't feel like he has that devastating power as well. Okay, let's
Julian Jackson.
Yeah. I just think he's kind of heavy-handed, you know, kind of. He reminds me sort of Vitaly Klitschko, you know, who doesn't have a really blasting hand, but his hands are just dropping and wearing down, you know.
But you say about Vitaly Klitschko, but hasn't he got one of the highest knockout ratios in heavyweight boxing ever? Foreman it in terms of knockouts.
Do you think so? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he actually was at the time. It was George Foreman and Vitaly Klitschko. I think Vitaly Klitschko, between him and Foreman, who had I think Foreman was more because he had more fights, obviously, but Vitaly Klitschko was second in terms of knockout, string of knockouts in heavyweight history. Vitaly was I think he was second.
Well, see, Vitaly is super technically sound, which is ridiculous for a guy with a heavy punch. Usually what happens with a guy who can just, you know, drop one hand and knock somebody out is that they're abandoning the fundamentals. When the guys who don't have like a serious punch, they they spend more time learning the basics and, refining their skills.
Yeah.
And Vitaly Klitschko, the only downfall he ever had is his body. His body would give up on him. It would have happened with the shoulder injury, I think, with Chris Bird.
Yeah.
And with bleeding, like he get a cut fighting Lennox Lewis. But he would never be outpointed or like in survival situation. I think Corey Sanders rocked him in round 4.
Yeah.
But other than that, Corey Sanders was saying himself that I cannot believe what just happened because my fist hurt and he's still standing. So that kind of a freak of nature Vitaly Klitschko was.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think going back to Golovkin and his punch power, his punch knockouts drying up is because the 3 guys he's fought, Brook and Canelo, all have footwork, all can move. And that's the reason why their knockouts have slowed up, because nobody's taking full impact to them shots. People are pulling their heads away from punches, slipping punches, and seeing the punches coming. Golovkin's not the fastest of punches. He's heavy-handed, yes. And if you allow him to stay on the front foot, sure, he'll knock you over. But these guys are not allowing Golovkin to get onto the front foot. And even when he's sitting on the front foot and setting up his shots, people are spinning off of him, set his feet to land them big shots. So nobody no longer is just going back in straight lines with Golovkin now. So he's all this stuff about, Golovkin being able to trap people against the ropes and be able to close the range down. Well, against the elite fighters, it's been a little more difficult. And even when he's got those fighters in the corner, he's been missing with huge hooks now, if you notice. And guys are slipping under the hooks or rolling or getting under or getting out of the way because they can see them punches coming. And when they can see the punches coming, remember, it's the punch that you don't see is the punch that knocks you out, not the punch that you do see. So a lot of these guys now are having the ability to slip, roll, slip to the sides, get out the side door, get out the back door, not allow Golovkin to just stand there and just throw shots. Clumsy in recent fights because these guys have been moving. That's why.
Well, since we went to middleweight, we have another fight supposedly in talks, and there's a bunch of shit flying around because Derevyanchenko is supposed to fight Andrade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and somebody was saying that Andrade pulled out of the negotiation. Now his manager came out and said, now we're still talking, and it seems like a good fight to us. I'm just thinking, what are his options? Because if he fights Andrade, which is the guy I don't really know that much about, Derevyanchenko is kind of interesting for an Eastern European because he fights on the inside a lot.
Oh.
He's spending his time basically, having his head on someone's shoulder or chest. He's kind of interesting. I think he got retailed in America since he's based in Brooklyn.
Okay.
He's doing more of that, so it's kind of an interesting mix because he has a European background and how people fight there. Now he got, it can be an interesting fight. I would watch it.
Can he beat Andrade?
See, I don't know that much about Andrade to say it, so I'm just gonna hope that he does.
Of course, I understand that. Okay, so let's see where we are. We just got slightly sidetracked because there are people talking. People are just saying that Mikey is saying that people like AJ, as soon as Wilder fights somebody who actually is a prime fighter, like when he fought Stavern in his prime, he wasn't able to get the knockout. They're talking about AJ not being able to get knockouts now. His fight against Takam was a bit of a gift and KO decision. And then Mikey says defensive back foot fighters can and will nullify straightforward punches. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, it makes sense. The thing is, if somebody is coming on the front foot, you're taking a back foot. That's how it works.
Of course, that's how it works. And, you know, it's the faster potency. It does make you wonder, when you see someone like Golovkin and they're not getting a knockout, what do they do when they can't knock you out? What things do they do to open you up? That's really the horse of a great fighter.
That's the problem. They don't. They do exactly the same thing, hoping that it sticks. And Golovkin did exactly the same combination against Canelo all night long. Kovalev believed that all he needed to do to knock Ward out in the second fight is do exactly the same, just more of that. Now, that is kind of a doomsday for anybody who is a knockout artist. He believes too much in the power of his punch and does not go to the books and learn how he needs to deliver it, how he needs to set up that situation in which his punch would change the picture of the entire fight.
Well, you see, that's the thing. This is what happens when you watch a lot of highlight reels and people getting knocked out and people saying, well, they're great fighters. People today, a lot of people watching boxing today equate highlights and knockout of highlight reels into being great fighters rather than looking at the boxing technique. And if a guy doesn't get a knockout, he can still different things. That's what made Joe Kazaki so good. Sometimes he couldn't knock you out, so he could switch up and change styles. He could do things differently and be adaptable. And that's what difference between a good fighter and a great fighter. And you know, a lot of today's fighters are based on just power, and so therefore we have a situation where we're not talking boxing, we're talking punching, KOs, but we're not actually talking boxing. And being and understanding the foundations and the boxing science is very different. You take a punches them, then you find out if they can actually box. And 8 times out of 10, it's been found that guys who are big punchers, far away from them, they're pretty ordinary. It's those guys that are special that can punch and still be able to box as well. That makes them very, very dangerous fighters. They can't knock you out. They can box the brakes off of you. Special.
Okay, so we talked about Derevyanchenko and Kovalev. What was the fight on Monday that happened? So Mansour and Kuzmin.
Okay.
That what was a weird fight. It was really weird because Kuzmin tried to lock Mansour on the ropes and just start, loading him with heavy punches.
Mm-hmm.
But Mansour, he was getting out of there, out of corners and out from the ropes pretty good. He had some movement. Some of it was completely unnecessary. I noticed that when Kuzmin was headhunting, Mansour was going to the body in 1-2s. I like how the fight was going until that in the third round they had a clash of heads, and basically the bleeding. Mansour had such a terrible bleeding that his eye closed immediately, and the doctor had to step in and stop the bleeding, just squeeze it out and whatever, just so he can see again. So they stopped the fight and called it a draw, which is weird again. Usually it's just a no contest.
It was interesting because I didn't get to see all the fight. I was watching some of it. I was on the coach at the time. I don't know if Mansour was trying to audition for a Muhammad Ali sort of footwork contest.
Had that, backwards walking and flicking the jab.
This is meant to be a bad man who's standing in the pocket and will bang with you and do this all stuff he was telling me. And then I just saw him moving. Like, I saw him, falling short with the left hand, and he just moving around. And I was watching. I was thinking, is this really Amir Mansour I'm watching here? Because that wasn't Amir Mansour I was watching brutally coming forward and trying to knock guys out. This Amir Mansour I saw moving, doing that, and it was a lot of movement. I didn't know what he was doing. I mean, but I don't know anything about his opponent. Could you tell me more about his opponent?
Well, basically, this guy is kind of slugger, so he tries to come forward and just rough you up. He fights only on the outside or kind of middle distance. Really feels awkward when somebody gets on his inside. Which is technically the problem with all Eastern European fighters. The fighting on the inside, I think it's the art mostly used in North America. He doesn't have that, he isn't that high of a star as Povetkin was when he turned pro. Because, obviously Povetkin won the Olympics in Athens.
Right.
In Greece, yeah, and everyone was, overhyped about him. This one is kind of taking a slower approach to it, and we're still gonna see what he's gonna do.
Is he any good?
He's not bad, but again, you know how it happens. Like for example, Kudryashov, he was having 20-25 fights, all with knockouts in the first 2 rounds or whatever. And then somebody came at him and knocked him out. And then he fought Tortikos. And Tortikos just looked at it and said, well, this guy cannot fight off the back foot. So all I need to do is keep coming at him and throwing punches. And that's what he did in the second round, which really surprised me at first, because fights usually don't start that fast, with someone letting his hands go in the early rounds. But I think that was their whole idea, is that, well, he cannot do it. Why don't we just blast him out of the water? And I just definitely feel like they watched the Duradolo fight, the guy who knocked him out. And they said, well, that's what we're going to do, just better. And they just mastered it. Kudryashov had his eyes rolling inside of his skull when he was on the canvas. That was such a heavy knockout.
I thought when he got knocked out, they had memes of when he got knocked out. It was so funny.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Oh dear. Right, there are people asking questions of your opinion on certain fighters. Donny Laporte asks, hello, Eugene. What do you think of Alexei Papin?
Alexei Papin. I think it's the Russian guy who fought on that undercard. Wait a second. Yeah. He might be an interesting prospect, but again, he fought Silah last time. Ismail Silah, Ukrainian cruiserweight, who's really weird, in meaning that he cannot take a punch for some weird reason. And he's fighting a cruiserweight, and he went, I think, from light heavyweights to cruiserweight. He cannot take a punch, and he has stamina issue, which is such a cocktail, which is just setting up for failure, like 10 times out of 10.
Can't take a punch, you've got no stamina. It's like, it's not good. It's not good. It's like
he had more, Silah had more, success in amateurs. But then when he turned pro, it just kind of revealed about himself. So we need just to watch more of Papin. He might be quite interesting. They also had Vlasov, who's quite an interesting boxer. I think he knocked out, what was his name? God damn it, I don't remember. Chekiev, Rahim Chekiev.
Okay.
Yeah, he knocked him out in 7 rounds, and everyone was shocked. But since then, he has done some more good work. Fought Denton Daly, the Canadian cruiserweight.
Okay.
Got a knockout as well. So we shall see. They have quite interesting prospects, and what is interesting is that the World Boxing Super Series, they separated all the lions, from the rest of the fighters. And now those fighters are building themselves up without danger of facing somebody like being too dangerous for them at this moment of their career. So they're just figuring out who's better to challenge the winner or whatever.
Okay. The next question is what are your thoughts on Ross still Plechlo?
What?
Rostilev Plechko.
Rostilev Plechko. That sounds like something Serbian or Bulgarian, and I don't really follow that.
Okay, so you don't know much about him.
Plechko. No, I never heard of it. Never heard of him. Actually, since we're talking about Balkans, Kubrat Spulev younger brother turned pro.
Oh, he is a Russian heavyweight prospect, for F's sake. Says Mikey. So yeah, he's a Russian heavyweight boxer, heavyweight prospect.
I don't. Oleg
Plechko.
No, still know nothing about him.
Okay, well, you've got some homework to do now for Mikey. No. Find out who this Plechko is.
Okay, so yeah, Tervel Pulev, the guy turned pro a year ago,
right?
And he's fighting at cruiserweight though, not like his elder brother. And he has really long amateur career, so long actually that he faced basically almost half of the current champions in cruiserweight division in Olympics. He really has been around for quite some time, but turned pro only at 33, which was a really weird decision. I'm gonna see about him.
Any good? Any good?
Yeah, he has a decent punch. He's technically sound. But once he steps up his opposition, we can judge on that,
Okay. Ask Eugene, says Tubes, do you follow Edgar Kavalukas progress? Edgar Kavalukas progress. He's Lithuanian.
Yeah, well, I can judge by the name that he is Lithuanian, but no, I don't follow it. See, the problem is it should be really within the either English language or Russian Ukrainian language, because if it's just Eastern European, it's a big place, You have Poland, you have Romania, you have all those countries with all their languages.
Listen, this is the Eastern European show, and let me tell you something now. Mikey's saying I'm having a meal with the pronunciations. You're going to have to help me with these pronunciations because I'm not Eastern European. So you're going to have to help me with these pronunciations.
Maybe I should open the chat myself.
Maybe so. He says his name. This guy is Jeez, I mean, I'll spell it for you. EGIDIJIUS.
Wait, it's whose comment is that? I'm trying to find it.
Kavalukas.
It seems like Kavaluskas.
What? Say it again.
Kavaluskas. I don't know. No, I'm not sure where the stress is. Is Kavaluskas or Kavaluskas? But no, I don't think I know him.
To wait. That's what Tubes is saying.
Okay. We can talk about Serenka's interview.
Yes, let's talk about Serenko. Before I say that, DJ wants to let you know. Good evening, Eugene. How's it going? No keyboard warriors for you tonight. You must be relieved. Thoughts on David Price's opponent this weekend? We'll talk about that in a minute. But he's just happy to hear that you keyboard warriors tonight.
Oh, man, that's great. I'm feeling quite positive about it.
Wherever you are, Mr. Keyboard Man, please find your way in the room. I'm joking. I'm absolutely joking. Stay where you are, mate. Yeah, you were going to talk about Serenko's interview, which is quite strange because I've not even been able to get hold of Uncle Bashir. Normally I can. I hope he's okay.
Well, he is. So he's back in Ukraine. I think he has a break for Christmas or whatever.
Okay.
And he went to what was it, Exports UA on the live show to talk about his progress so far and ideas that he has, maybe basic stuff. So he was saying that basically he was supposed to get 10 fights before the end of this year, or I think 10 fights in general and 7 before the end of the year. And the guy who, I think it's promoter, manager, whoever he was, basically didn't hold to his word, couldn't either the terms weren't like anything specific. So the guy kind of got frustrated and moved to Texas. He got offering to fight a guy. He didn't mention what was the name of the initial opponent. Basically, he was training to fight him for 6 rounds. Oh no, actually, he was training to fight him 4 rounds, and then they replaced the guy. Basically, that guy pulled out because of an injury, and they said, well, that fight is not happening at all. That position is closed, but we have a fight happening 1 week earlier against Jamal Woods, or what's his name? Yes. Yeah, okay. And so basically, different opponent a week earlier, 6 rounds instead of 4. He was like, okay, well, I'm still sitting on my ass. I can as well just take the fight. So he took the fight and outpointed him. I watched the first round. There is no more footage of it. But basically, it looks to me like it was more of a one-sided fight, with occasional, fighting back, maybe just throwing something back. Yeah. I'm hoping that Bashir and they can figure out something, because Ron Visser didn't fight at all, and he has been in America for almost 6 months.
Yeah.
That cannot be good.
That can't be good at all. I wonder why. Because he was talking about some guy who made promises to Bashir and team, and it just didn't. He was a bit of a scam artist.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Chance to talk to Bashir, I will do. People asking about. Mike wants to know about Dogo and watching Troyanovsky.
Fighting who? Troyanovsky again?
Yes. Your thoughts on Troyanovsky now?
Troyanovsky, well, see, that knockout was really weird. To me, it seems like he just slipped up, in the meaning of not just walked into punches or something. He just didn't expect Indongo to have such a long hand, such a long arm to reach him. And he kind of thought he was in the safe zone and got knocked out. I don't know how their rematch would go. I think Indongo would outpoint him, though. really think that if by not by
Okay.
knockout, Ndongo is kind of, he's an awkward guy to fight. You know, he went and fought Ricky Burns, and technically, well, Ricky Burns couldn't do anything against him.
Yeah. They're asking who promotes Sorenko and Visser. I know Bashir was doing some work with them, but I don't know who the promoter was.
I don't think they have a promoter though. I think
Not anymore.
Bashir and yeah.
Yes, he was working with Lou Savarese. Remember that?
Lose. Who? No, I just remember he was signing with Colacoda when they were back in South Africa.
Yeah. But I know. But in America, they were working with Lou Savarese for one fight.
And what happened with that? No, you have no idea.
Well, I think it was Jamel Woods. That was the fight, I think.
Oh, that was the only fight they could secure?
I think so. It was a one-fight deal, I think.
It's still sad that Rowan Visser didn't fight. I would hope at least to, if somebody, like, if there is a fight, then both of them get at least some something.
Okay, let's talk about Sokolowski. He fights David Price this weekend.
Nothing interesting. Basically, a journeyman. Well, kind of journeyman. He's resident.
You don't think he's dangerous for Price?
Well, now you're just being offensive to Price. I don't think he's dangerous to Price. It would be, if Sokolowski does any sort of significant damage to Price, Price just needs to hang his gloves. Maybe box sometimes at the weekend, go to the gym, and but not as professionals. If Price cannot go through Sokolowski, it's just nothing to talk about.
Okay, thoughts on Derevyanchenko?
Derevyanchenko. Cameron? What was that fight supposed to happen? I heard nothing.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it either.
Oh, that would be...
Is Derevyanchenko a Commonwealth fighter?
What? No. Commonwealth fighter?
He's a Ukrainian Yank.
What? I don't think he's a Commonwealth fighter.
Except with a name like I didn't think he was Commonwealth either.
No, definitely not.
And I mean, I know people are talking about Sokolowski, right? But people are talking about Sokolowski. Sokolowski's been beaten a lot of times. He knocked out AJ Carter, but AJ Carter had no chin in the first place. He had no chin in the first place. So, about this being a dangerous fight for David Price, I appreciate that based on Sokolowski's recent form. But I will say this much: David Price is the biggest one-punch knockout artist that Sokolowski's fought in his career. Hard as Dillian White doesn't punch as hard as David Price, and Dillian White stopped Sokolowski. AJ Carter. You fight Huey Fury as well. I'm sure he did. I could be wrong, but none of those guys punch as hard as David Price. Those guys punch at a certain level. I think David Price is a world-class puncher, and I'm not so sure. I think that's the difference, and that's what takes this fight. This fight could end very quickly with David Price because he hits that hard. And I've said he is one of the biggest punchers bona fide in the heavyweight division. And if Sokolowski can go the distance with David Price, I'd be very, very, very impressed. But I expect David Price actually to knock Sokolowski out because of the punching power that David Price possesses. And every guy that's beaten David Price, bar Jürgen Tepper, has found himself on the canvas. So, you know, I'm gonna go Price on this one.
Yeah, so am I, because basically Sokolowski hasn't done anything. You know, he hasn't shown himself against. You know, he would. I know I would go with Price, but I hope Price works on his defense. He has no problem with the punch. He needs to work more on his defense.
Yes, he does. People saying, yeah, who's Price been knocked out? That's world class. I think he's been knocked down. He's knocked down Tony Thompson, Christian Hamer. So I think the Price hits.
AG.
Well, yeah, not that sparring, yeah.
It's just a running joke, you know.
It is a running joke. So, you know, if Gorman and White can stop him, then I think I would say the Price is a bigger puncher than Gorman and White, to be honest. So Sokolowski may be, and he may be dangerous. Sokolowski may be dangerous, but for me, let's not make Sokolowski something that he's not. I think he's a threat. Of course, he's a threat, but that should be even more of a good thing for David Price. Should he blast Sokolowski out of there? He upsets home fighters. Gore stopped into the body. Price is not a body puncher, right? But Price is a head puncher, and he's a phenomenal puncher. Say what you want about Price, but anything else about David Price, you know, he is a tremendous puncher. That I know of, and you know, I still believe Price still can be a serious threat in the division. But you know, if Price can't get past Sokolowski, I'm sorry. And again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Man, don't listen. David Price, for him to become a champion, he has to come out with a ramrod jab. He's got to be pushing that jab out there really hard behind it. That's what I want to see of David Price. I don't want to see David Price coming out there, pouring with a jab and playing with a jab. I want to see him really ram that jab home first round, throwing the left jab out, putting Sokolowski onto the back foot and ramming that right hand down his throat. Price, if I don't see that and see the stupid pouring jab, then again, Price deserves to get knocked out because man don't learn his lesson. Your thoughts, Eugene?
I would definitely agree, but at the same time, I just hope he has been knocked out by opponents that you don't really expect him to be knocked out by. And
well, he got knocked out by Hamer. I expect him to get knocked out by Hamer. He got stopped by Thompson in the second fight. I expect him to get stopped by Thompson. Jürgen Tepper, I probably expect him to get knocked out by Tepper as well. But they're top guys you're talking about there. They're not bums.
Oh, but again, it's kind of like, where are they now? And it's kind of, you know, Price was given so much hope about him, and then
oh my God.
Different from. There are a lot of talks, you know, about how Price is gonna be the next best thing, but it didn't happen.
I just got reminded about trainer is, and I've just discovered who David Price's trainer is, and his trainer is Derry Matthews. I mean, it's on a slippery slope. You move from wait. Let me get this straight here. You had Franny Smith. You had Lennox Lewis try to help you out. You went over to Tommy Brooks. Booth. You joined David. What's his name? Coldwell. And now you're going to Derry Matthews. For flip's sake. You should get knocked out just for doing that. Sorry. Just for doing that. For flip's sake, what is David Price doing? What is David?
Okay, let's switch from something not as sensible.
Yeah, let's just try something else. Let's do something else instead.
So a quick
let's
quick talk about the cruiserweight, whole cruiserweight division, because
yes.
interesting shuffles are happening. Chunu got outpointed by Moldovan cruiserweight Bejinaru, or Bejinaru, I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly.
Yes.
And he grabbed WBC international title or something like that. And now Macabo is
Okay.
fighting Dole in Dubai this December. So Duradolo is fighting Macabo, and
Was that for? Is that for world title?
WBC silver.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know whether WCB will make the winner of that fight fight Bayonaro first, and then face whoever grabs or keeps WBC title. Um, that is kind of interesting because you see those moves happening outside of division while the champions are out, and it's kind of like, okay, so out of those top 20 guys, who is good enough to be in top 5, for example? It kind of 2017 answers a lot of questions. We said it at the beginning of, no, at the end of 2016.
Yep.
And it's happening. And another weight is super featherweight.
Okay.
Which is Sosa fought Gamboa.
Yes.
And I'm absolutely convinced he got robbed.
Against Gamboa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gamboa, they had a competitive fight together, but like if you would rank it, like rate it, they would both get I think it was 10-round fight, so 5-5. You wouldn't really sway either way. So if somebody got the decision, you would be like, oh well, what are you gonna do about it? It's a close fight. But Gamboa got his points deducted, a point deducted for holding, and he got dropped by Sosa. And it's kind of like the guy clearly had a serious advantage, and he still got I think robbed. Then again, Bob Arum kind of has a habit of punishing certain fighters if they're not sticking with his ideal plan. So that might be a case, because when something like that happens, when Walters got a draw against Sosa, everyone was ripping hair on their heads, and that was basically his punishment for not taking a fight with Lomachenko and pricing out. So eventually he still took it, but at lesser money.
Yeah, I think Aaron did that same shit with Pacquiao and
Burns?
Bradley. Pacquiao and Bradley did that shit with where he got the draw. When he gave Bradley the win. Remember, he gave Bradley the win.
Wasn't it the same with Horns though?
What was that?
Horns. He went.
Who?
The Australian.
Oh, Jeff Horn.
Jeff Horn. Yeah, not Horns. Sorry. Because supposedly Pacquiao was supposed to fight Crawford and kind of set the path for him for 147, and Bob Arum would forgive anything he has ever done and let him, be a free man. But now he's kind of being bugged by Bob Arum.
I don't see Manny Pacquiao fight again, to be honest. He needs to retire.
I think so too. But then again, there are a lot of people that are talking about McGregor coming back with 0-1 to fight now Paul Maliaji. Maliaji, what's his name?
Yeah, well, that's what I heard. That fight's for next year, but I don't know if that fight's going to happen because McGregor, he supposedly got himself involved. Who's good friends with a drug cartel in Ireland? So
yeah, I heard that.
So Dana White said he may not fight again.
Well, he has a lot of money in his bank. That's one of the reasons why he may never want to fight again, because fighting kind of sucks. It kind of takes out of you. So
I have an
and
idea.
Lomachenko. Huh? What idea?
Two things. What do you think of Ajit Cabal, the Derek Chisora?
Well, Haji Kabil, what? Who's that?
Ajit Cabal. Chisora, the heavyweight, the Turkish heavyweight.
Let me take a look. Maybe I know him, but I just don't. Derek Chisora. Jesus, where is Derek Chisora in rankings?
Nowhere, probably.
So you say it's RJ?
I think it's the European champion now.
Oh, Caballo. Okay. Yeah.
Did you see the fight?
The problem is I didn't watch the fight. So
You didn't miss watch. You didn't miss watch. You didn't miss much at all. Just typical lazy ass Derek Chisora plodding around the ring. So you didn't miss much. Trust me.
Another one that I'm really looking forward to, and it's 9 days before it happens, is Lomachenko Rigondo.
Now, what I wanted to do for that one, I wanted to do a special. I was gonna bring Bo in, have Bo and you in the room together, the side of why you think Lomachenko wins, and we can have Bo why he thinks that Rigondeaux will win, because Rigondeaux is Cuban and Bo's part Cuban, and then you're Ukrainian, so it's great. The Ukrainian and the Cuban talking. It'll be a great show. What do you think?
Could be fun. The thing is, Lomachenko. But I feel like it would be a big piss show, you know. It's kind of like
it'd be a great show. Yourself, Bo, myself, all three of us talking about Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux, and somebody said, I think it was Roy Jones, said this is the greatest fight ever. What do you think?
No. No, seriously, why it would be the greatest one ever? It surely goes to the history books as two Olympic gold medalists are facing each other in the ring, but I just don't think it's something completely unprecedented, because the Lomachenko isn't that high in rankings. Many people kind of claim him to be #1 pound for pound. I think he needs to do more. I think you cannot just claim somebody is. You gonna basing it something. He has been doing cool stuff, but against opponents who are definitely not his level.
They say as they're saying extra security for that one. Bo has a glass chin and Eugene has a swift left hook. And Luis Ortiz as the muscle.
Yeah, and blood pressure pills. We'll need some. I kind of like listening to Bo, but mostly sit in the back, because most of the time they're just arguing who has heroin received most. And you sit in there time.
I think you and Bo would make a very interesting show. I think you're both great at what you do, and I think you both would be great, because it's Lomachenko versus, you've got a Cuban and a Ukrainian in the room talking boxing. That'd be brilliant. And he says, Mike says you can borrow Alexander's.
Okay. I did some homework and watched more of Rigondeaux's fights, and I tracked what Lomachenko has been saying about that fight. At the beginning of it, when the idea was proposed to fight Rigondeaux, I think it was in August or something, he was like, "Oh, this is nonsense. I'm gonna roll over him like a tank. He's too small." At some point, he even compared him to fried bacon because he's so small. So basically, he's shrunk. Yeah, but then his language started changing, and the latest interview, he's saying, "I'm not looking for a knockout. This probably will go to decision. I'm preparing for a full fight. You know, he's gonna fight like it's the last fight of it's fight of his life." So his attitude has switched 180. You know, he turned around 180.
Who's this, Lomachenko or Rigondeaux?
See, I know what Lomachenko is at 130. I don't know what Rigondeaux is at 130. Does his punch carry to 130 as good? You know,
It better not. It better not. For Lomachenko's sake, it better not.
well, of course. And speed again. He is fast in 130 on his foot, his feet.
He
Sorry.
better not be. He better not be.
Well, okay, so you're gonna be saying he's better not be when he's talking to me, and then when it's gonna be Bo, he's better be because you know who's gonna knock him out. You know who's gonna...
you know how it's gonna go. So you know.
All right.
You know how it's gonna go. We have to get Bo because he's gonna have plenty to say for himself. You're gonna have plenty to say for yourself. And me being the Brit, the Brit Irish stroke man from the Caribbean, I can just play the man from the Caribbean and you say, I don't know what's going on. You two guys talk together. One of you are going to have to convince me. But at the moment, I'm leaning towards Rigondeaux for two reasons. Because of the WBA. And all the reasons why I want Rigondeaux to win the fight are all external reasons. Nothing to do with anything Lomachenko personally, but they're all external reasons how they treat Rigondeaux. The fact that this man really still hasn't been recognised as one of the greatest fighters of our time, him fighting some very good fighters. And three, those two things, those are the two reasons. The other reason why I want to see him beat Lomachenko is because of Lomachenko getting all this very high praise so highly, so quickly, for doing not as much as Rigondeaux. So for me, and has already been beaten. These are reasons why I'd like to see Lomachenko get beat by Rigondeaux and to prove people wrong. That's what I'd like to see.
Well, you want justice. It's not like you want him being. You want to prove a point versus you want Lomachenko being beaten. You know.
Yeah, I think that's
because many people overlook facts just because there is sort of a selling phase for Lomachenko, which is like Matrix and undefeatable and whatever. Yeah, I feel for like Rigondeaux because he's getting screwed over at 122. Like basically, they give him 5 days if he wins or loses, regardless. So if he wins over Lomachenko, they're saying, okay, you're out of WBA rankings. If he loses, technically no one's gonna fight him because if he gives Lomachenko a good fight, everyone will look at him. Well, this is dangerous. He went to 2 divisions up and gave a tough fight. I should not face this guy. If he wins, it's even worse.
I would laugh my head off if he goes up. Rigondeaux goes up 2 weight divisions and knocks Lomachenko out. I will laugh so much because this is meant to be the greatest pound for pound fighter.
And I would need blood pressure
already
pills.
Got a lost record. Need blood pressure pills. I know Jesman, and you can talk to about that as well. His name is Bo Bland, and he's got a show called Truth and Facts About Boxing. Ask him; he'll tell you all about it.
Accidental truth and some facts about boxing.
Accidental truth and some facts.
No,
I think you like that. I think you like that.
Okay, yeah. I feel your cause for Rigondeaux because I really want him to, basically be recognized for what he is. And it's the same reason why I was rooting more for Indongo in his fight with Crawford, because think of it. what a story that would be if a guy from Namibia comes into the backyard of the first guy, then into the backyard of the second guy, and into the backyard of the third guy, and grabs all the titles in the division out of Namibia that people don't really hear about. You know,
Wow,
it would be such a story.
Amazing. So that's the only reason why I think I'm back in Rigondeaux for as I said, external reasons rather than internal reasons. He's got the ability to beat to beat Lomachenko, but who knows? Who knows? Is the size going to be too much?
I don't feel like it would be an athleticism fight, though. I feel like there would be a lot of decision making.
Okay. You've got some people in the room saying a Bobland, sometimes truth, sometimes facts. Oh dear me. I think we'll have a good show. I think we'll have a good show of you two guys. Definitely be a great show. To find Mr. Bobland and get him. When would you be available to that show? We'll have to do it before next week or before the lead up to next week.
For next week, okay. So I think it would be Tuesday. Oh no,
Tuesday?
Next week.
Okay.
You mean before the fight?
Obviously, yeah. We want to get you both in a room. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, Tuesday, Thursday. I think it's best option.
Derukure versus Cuba. That'd be great.
I would actually want to hear more about another Cuban, which is Darticos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the cruiserweight, because he came out of nowhere, you know, not fighting for more than a year.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there is a lot of information about him missing, and like after that Kudryashov fight, I just fell in love with it because he did everything smart and right, you know. So I'm like, oh, this is a guy whose fights I'm gonna be watching from now on. So, you know.
Okay.
Bo might have some more information about the guy because, you know, it's the same problem for Cubans as there is for Ukrainians, that there is a lot of information just lost in language barrier.
Okay. Definitely. Is there anything else? Is there anything else you need to update us about?
I don't think so, except for that there are talks of Usyk fighting Bredis in Latvia.
Okay.
That is an interesting issue because he's fighting him in his backyard. And it means he needs to put way more work on him than regularly. And Gassiev will be fighting Darticos in Russia. It seems like it's going to happen in Russia.
Okay.
But that fight, I don't think, goes to decision. So I'm not really worried about that. Except for, you know, sequel to Icarus. But I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not accusing anyone. It's just maybe a little bit. Have you watched the movie though?
What fight? No, I haven't seen it yet. No.
Oh Jesus, I loved it. Like I was sitting there for 2 hours straight, not even breathing. It was it is so. What?
According to your friend, it was all propaganda.
You know, that's a very interesting way to dismiss any sort of information whatsoever. So let's say you say Rigondeaux beats Lomachenko. I say anti-Ukrainian propaganda. What you gonna do about
it? There's not much I can do about it, is there?
Well, because this tactic is called poisoning the well, right? You just drop a little bit something, and now you're just talking to a wall because it's all propaganda.
It's smart though. It's a smart way to not be accountable.
Well, I wouldn't say it's smart. It's lazy.
Well, yes.
I
Lazy
actually
for the
went
intelligent
to
man.
learn about that lab that guy was talking about, or that person, I don't know, guy, girl, whatever. The lab is still working. It got shut down for a few weeks because when they had a trial, it appeared that they didn't trace what is ostarine in his blood prior, even though it was in his samples before that, in all the previous samples. So they shut it down to reevaluate, and then they renewed their work once they cleared everything.
Okay.
The other lab that shut down is the one in Russia, and it never opened.
Okay.
They're
Fair enough.
in that movie, Jesus, it's so well documented. Everything they did. Just watch it. You're not gonna regret it.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to watch it now. It says, Mikey says, we need Eugene versus Penn Betkin support part 2 on BWTM pay-per-view. See? That guy took dead. Well, that guy's not around, so he's gone. I know that he'll probably pop up in the comment section somewhere.
For that one, I will need to tie my right hand to the chair because I will be slapping my face on myself on the face too much. Might accidentally injure myself.
Well, I tell you, that was what I definitely think. That was one of the that was one of the shows of the year for me. Absolutely, it was entertaining because you basically had somebody there who had a strange view and opinion of things, and quite, what's the word? It's more of the going rate of what's going on today in terms of interaction with the public. So that was not unreal what happened. It's just there's more of that out there. I understand what I've had to be dealing with for years. This sort of, you try and prove a point to somebody, you try to talk something logical to somebody. It looks like you're the one talking nonsense that's trying to be logical, and the person that seems to be the person that seems to be talking sense. If you get what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, I know, and I've been listening to it. Well, even the whole AJ saga and him being the best heavyweight in the world of all times. Okay, I can take criticism of Ali or any prime heavyweight of those times. That okay, Ali is not prime, but this guy is, and there's debate about it. Okay, got it. Okay, but what I feel like is that if you take Samuel Peter prime and put it against AJ, that's it. Or you grab somebody, I don't know, who never became the champion, like David
Ernie
Tua.
Shavers.
He's really
Ernie
robust.
Shavers. Ernie Shavers versus Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys who never became champions, but because the level of opposition was so much higher,
Jimmy Young.
Jesus.
Let's see. Eugene. Do you think that Bashir made a mistake leaving Bashir?
What was it? It's really hard to say because for me, Usyk is right now is doing a lot of things he's not comfortable, or maybe he's comfortable doing, he's not efficient at. So he's all more striker, puncher switch from boxer puncher to puncher boxer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird. And you told me to look at his feet when he's throwing a punch, and I think I've noticed something that he doesn't really dig his feet into the canvas. He's kind of like hopping forward, to get that extra inch of reach. And that is something that, well, he's not doing it efficiently. Either stand down, deep into the canvas and throw a punch, or
dig your shots.
Yeah, don't do half measures. Either score points because I know where it comes from, because he had over 400 amateur fights or whatever. He has been,
yeah,
he was never counting for a knockout, so he was just scoring points, you know, using his reach, using his movement. And now he tries to do the other side, which is, you know, make more exciting fights with more heavy punches, but he's not doing it the right way, you know. So it's kind of look like he's out of his league in that one.
Do you think that does Russia and Ukraine have a heated rivalry in sport boxing, or is it more jovial?
Russia and Ukraine really has bad, bad relationship altogether. And not even recently. It started back in, you know, 15th century or whatsoever. So yeah, there is rivalry. There has been rivalry even before the whole Ukrainian-Russian war. You know, that started at 2014 and still going on. It's complete mess. When Klitschko was fighting in Moscow against Povetkin, he was there for slaughter, you know. They really wanted him down, and they just got so frustrated that he was the one to embarrass their prospect. And there was so much disrespect. He got booed out of the ring, when usually they have like a talk or whatever, kind of interview after the fight, whatever. Nobody wanted to listen to him. So there is definitely a feeling, you know, at the back of the head that it's not friendly competition. You know, it's more competition to prove a point. But if really, you know, the whole story of sports, if you trace it back to back in the days when Soviet Union was in place, why for people was so important that America or Canada wins over USSR in hockey, or the boxer knocks somebody out, or, you know, grabs gold in the Olympics, is because the countries were at the point where they couldn't fight each other, hated each other. But somehow you gotta embarrass the other one, you know, somewhere you gotta compete. And the sports is the manifestation of that. That we can come in and, you know, kind of show that we are better without anyone needing us. So yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure about the story about Berta coming back to cruiserweight. I think that's more of a trolling comment.
What happened? Did Roy Jones Jr. got knocked out?
Again?
Did he get knocked out? I think it was recently, didn't he?
No, did he?
I heard something like that. Maybe. I think James Alibashir.
I heard he had a fight coming up. I heard he was coming back, and I heard he was fighting, but I think the Berto cruiserweight thing's a lie. Well, that's crap. Okay. I just read about Berto. He's gonna come back at cruiserweight. No way he can come back at cruiserweight. Roy Jones. I don't think he got knocked out again.
I'm not sure. I saw it on Facebook. Maybe it wasn't something recent. Maybe it just was.
Yeah, he did get knocked out. But, is he fighting tonight? No, he's not fighting tonight. I know he's.
No,
he's meant to be fighting.
He hasn't fought since Bobby Gunn.
No, he's fighting again in December.
Is he?
Yeah,
Where?
he's meant to be fighting. Let me check a second. He's fighting. He's fighting in December. Let me check, double check. But he definitely. And the last time I looked, he was had a fight coming up in December. I was going. Yeah, don't fight again, Roy. Please no. Please no, Roy. He's 48, by the way.
Oh, so this one can take blood pressure.
I hope. I really hope he's not fighting again. I really do. Get on box rec for me because I can't find, and this box rec is not telling me. Oh, here we go now.
So weird for athletes who were really good back in the day to completely stumble their legacy into the dirt. Like keep fighting in shit fights and losing to, technically somebody they should never have lost to.
Well, look, it looks like he's not fighting because it's he's got nothing on box rec about him fighting again. He was meant to fight in December, but it looks like he's not fighting.
Are there any questions in the room? Because we kind of ran out of topics.
Come to end. Hold on. Berto's fighter Maidana cruiserweight. Didn't you see the presser in group? No, I didn't. I'm sure you're joking. Eugene, thoughts on Ricardo Mayorga coming to Russia for his last fight?
Mayorga fighting.
Ricardo Mayorga fighting in Russia? Really?
What? I don't think they even have. Oh, wait, is he in an undercard for Povetkin?
Thoughts on Ricardo Mayorga coming to Russia for his fight? I don't know. I don't know anything about that, to be honest. Ronnie Emerson says, "Hey, my man, I was joking with that Stavern relation joke yesterday. Didn't hear the reply though. I bet it rattled the nerve. Laugh my head out. Maybe not. No, I didn't put much attention to it. Mayorga is in his 40s. Got knocked out in Russia, I think, by Andrei Sturokin.
Haven't heard of it.
Andrei Sturokin. You heard of him?
No. There are a lot of guys around, but just, you only hear about the guys who make it through, mostly. Oh, by the way, yeah, the Arnold Higai, the upset of the night. Really funny fight.
Who's that?
So this Monday on the undercard to Troyanovsky, there was a fight of Russian prospect and a Ukrainian featherweight 126.
Yeah.
And the fight was really weird in the sense that it was a lot like, I don't know, you have Povetkin feeling of it, in meaning that the local guy was not supposed to lose.
Right.
Yeah, but basically the guy put so much water over him that at some point he landed a left hook on him, and the guy turned around with his back to opponent and started walking forward, into the ring, like in some episode of The Walking Dead. I will send you a few links. You can watch the fights, but
Mikey said the featherweight got knocked out in the final 2 seconds of the fight.
Yeah. He started walking from the opponent, just turned his back on him. And the guy didn't, he didn't get frustrated. He just hopped behind him and threw a left hook from the back to his chin. So kind of like around his head.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. It was a really fight. Technically, he didn't punch him on the back of the head, but he threw a punch the guy could never see, even though he was walking as a zombie.
I think we've got somebody trying to be funny in the room. Thoughts on Tyronius Nursev?
Tyronius? What?
Tyronius Nursev. Nurse.
Oh. Is that the joke of Wilder Woman?
Wilder Woman. Oh, God. Wilder Woman. That's funny.
Yeah, that's Shannon's Brick's Instagram. He loves to do that shit.
Thoughts on Julia Indonkyov basically taking people's like names and turn them into kind of Ukrainian names. 140-pound prospect, by the way, Kiev Huddersfield. They're going to try.
Is that a joke about Higai though?
Well, no, there's another one. Thoughts on Antony of Hercules?
No, it should be okay. So the last name, okay. So to make a Ukrainian last name, you need either ko finishing. Yes. So like ko, you know.
Yes.
So ko ends or UK.
UK. So I say Joshua Kev.
No.
Joshua Kev.
For example, Joshua Ko or Joshko.
Oh.
Yeah, or Joshuk. That would be him. You know, basically. So whenever you want to do that, it just
yes.
You can, so you see in Lomachenko he has the ending of ko and whatever.
Yeah, okay. So you'll teach me.
I think the whole joke about the featherweight, because Arnaud Kegai is Asian and he is Ukrainian. I don't know what his definite background is. Is he Vietnamese who is raised in Ukraine or whatever? It's kind of like Izo Ugano, you know, the Black Hole.
Yeah. You've got another one here. Deontay Rivas Wilderos.
Hey, people, what kind of madness are you doing there?
They're just trying to change different names up, so I think they're just trying to confuse you. That's all. It could be some sort of parallel universe sort of thing. See, in all seriousness, now, did you get to see the interview with David Higgins, Duke on Parker Presser? Did you see that? Oh my God!
I didn't see. I read about it, like at the transcript, and the whole thing of him fighting for percentages or whatever.
Exactly. That was my point precisely. The boxer, I don't want to hear any boxer talk about percentage. The only person I want to hear talk about percentages are the promoters and the management, and that should be kept behind closed doors. We don't need to know about that. We just need to know the fights on. But it was absolutely, I watched a press conference today, and it was absolutely cringeworthy.
Absolutely cringeworthy. When people start talking about, well, throw a little bit more money in, and then I'm gonna fight you. So you are gonna fight me. It's just the matter of the price, and if the price is not right, it means you're just selling it. Because back in the day, people would fight for peanuts just to prove a point. You know, and we shifted so far away from it. And it's like, oh no, 30%, it's not good. 35%, you know, I like the 35.
I mean, when it gets to that point in boxing where a guy is talking and doing press conference, it looked desperate to me, real desperate. Like they were literally auction, and like, you know, when you're auctioning off, I don't know, some sort of product. You had Joseph
Parker. Here's Wilder, and here's AJ team, and there's like 20%, 21, 22, 23.
Go, 30, 31, 32, 33, 35, 36. That's Team Wilder, 36. Going to Team Wilder. Oh, Lucas Branson for 37%. 37%, 40%. Oh, Joshua's team. Yeah, 40% is the WBO belt has been sold to you for 40%. That's what it seemed like to me. And it's almost absolutely just, it's sad. It's very sad.
It is sad, but then again, you know, yeah, I never blame the boxer for it though, you know, because there are people who really want to be, you know, the greatest of their time or whatever.
I blame the boxer this time because Joseph Parker was in the room. If Duco had done that press conference and Parker wasn't in the room, I wouldn't have been so bad. But Parker was standing there, and that's what made it worse. He had this cheesy grin on his face and his belt on him, and it just looked like he was being auctioned off. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. I just, you know, it just looked terrible. It was unprofessional. It was terrible.
Yeah, but I think the fight with AJ is gonna happen. I don't think Wilder will get the WBO belt from him because AJ is just more, you know, just from financial point, they will drag Parker in. Also, I don't think
They're gonna buy the belt. Do you think they'll buy the belt of Parker?
I have that sense, but then again, I have a feeling that before Takam fight, AJ was really scary, and now he's not. You know, so we'll see.
That's interesting. Interesting point there. Any thoughts on Lemieux versus Saunders?
Good fight. Definitely watching.
Who wins?
Who wins? That's tough to say. I want to say Saunders, but Lemieux might do something.
He's got the power to do it.
Yeah.
And arguably the biggest puncher that Saunders fought in his career.
So definitely watching that one.
Absolutely.
December is such a nice
hot month.
Yeah.
A hot month. Let's see. Just to close, people are saying Higgins is now the second best promoting, the second best after Cali Sowland. What do you think?
Huh?
Higgins is now second to Cali Sowland as the people's promoter.
Oh yeah. Well, I never like those sorts of competitions because they're just bad for the sport. And I get why they're happening. Well, basically because think of it like this: Parker may not see himself as the greatest heavyweight at the moment, but he still wants to secure some money for his future, for his family, or whatever. So I know why it's happening. I just don't want it to be so public and so open. Like,
no, exactly.
Like, you know, at some point it's going to be WWE.
I don't know how long, but we're getting to that WWE point, aren't we? We are.
Yeah, we're just, you know, selling some interesting picture, and everything has been decided already.
And like AJ's like Hulk Hogan.
All right, since we're done butchering our names.
Butchered all the names up. Oh, there was one thing I meant to ask you. Okay. How's your best friend, Igor Klimas?
Igor Klimas, well, he was talking about my other best friend is Alexander Gvozdik. And basically, they're now looking at a bunch of options.
Okay.
So Gvozdik either fights Kovalev, or he goes after WBC, which already, you know, cringe appears on my face, because what is the point of going after WBC if Adonis is does not seem to be really keen on fighting Alvarez, and then you'll be the second Mando. Just sets back Gvozdik for another year, I feel like.
Okay.
And basically, he's in a weird position where he kind of has to fight Kovalev or lose time. And I think if ever fighting Kovalev, then it should be now.
And Bivov, is Bivov or Bivov? He signed with Main Events now.
I think he didn't sign though. I think he has like, I don't know, working agreement, something. Not a contract though. No, he has something.
Okay.
People were saying that it's not it. And people, I think he has a mandatory in face of Sullivan Barrera.
Okay. Who wins between Indogo and Postal?
If it goes on points, then Indongo. If Postal does something unexpected, as in fight with Matisse, then he has a chance. But other than that, I think outside of Crawford, the best man at 140 is Indongo.
And I got Milka Hacklin. Milka Hacklin?
Jesus, Igor Mikhalkin.
Yes, that's his name.
I just opened the chat for myself to see it because.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, he's threat. I'm not sure about threat, but he can be an interesting fighter.
Okay.
I think we should see a little bit more of him. He outpointed the South African. What is his name? Jesus, I don't know.
I don't know. You tell me what his name is. Don't give me any more names tonight. I'm having a nightmare tonight. Don't give me any more names.
Thomas Oosthuizen. I don't know. It's some really weird name, but basically it's a 6'4" light heavyweight. The South African.
Okay.
Yeah. For a light heavyweight, 6'4" is kind of tall because the tallest cruiserweight is 6'4", which is Gassiev. Yeah, but he outpointed him, and now he's fighting Dodo Ngombu. Oh, I don't know the guy, but Mikhalkin can be interesting to watch.
Nate, thoughts on Kai? Oh God, I can't pronounce his name. Kithrov.
Oh, Khitrov.
Kithrov. Right.
It's kind of like H. Khitrov. So Khitrov, well, he needs to go back to the drawing board because he showed, stamina issues. Basically, he needs to figure out what the heck is wrong with him. Somebody says Usyk versus Joshua. See, the point is when Usyk moves to heavyweight, Joshua might not be the man. I have that feeling. And again, by the time the World Boxing Series ends, Usyk might not be the man. So I'm not overhyped.
Usyk versus Usyk, yeah, I know. Usyk versus Tyson Fury.
It's so difficult to predict because one guy is really fast in his feet, and he has decent tools, and the other guy is just awkward. He's so awkward, and so he shows a lot of movement for a heavyweight. So when somebody's saying Wilder or Joshua versus Usyk, I can picture the fight going. This one, I just cannot. I just don't know what's going to be happening.
Kutcher KO'd, then lost to Huck. Where's Kutcher now?
Yeah, well, he was helping Usyk to prepare for a fight with Huck. And See, this is the problem with many of current fighters, that they lose and then they basically sit for a year or so until the next fight comes on, which they could have been busy, doing something. Postal just recently started fighting again after his loss to Crawford. And I don't see the reason why he couldn't, say to Bob Arum, like, Bob, you wanted this fight, I did it. Give me something, I'm gonna box. And the same with Kucher. It's just nothing is happening for them, and I feel like they're not even looking for it.
Serenko versus Rudenko.
Serenko versus Rudenko. Well, it's definitely going on points. And I don't know how Serenko feels in the late rounds.
Okay.
I really like if it's 10, 12 round fights. It's too early to say for me, because if it's going on points, I want to know how he handles with the late fights.
So, Yard versus, I can't remember if the guy's pronounces the game. Sekoloka?
I don't know. There seems to be some Serbian name or something.
You don't know much about him. He's old though. He's fighting Anthony Yard.
Well, I can say nothing about that fight.
You don't know anything about him. Okay.
Tatsun Vilsik, Vadi Camacho. Who are those people, Mikey? Are you just trying to troll me?
I think so. Who's about to Vadi Camacho? Yeah, I think that's definitely a troll job there.
Come on.
Kazakhstan, not part of Europe, but has Eugene heard of Kanat Islams?
Yeah, I have heard of him.
And?
Not that much. Not that interesting to me yet,
But yeah,
he's good enough.
What's his record like?
Huh?
What division he fighting? Has he had lots of fights here, or is he still a?
I think it's lower weight divisions, somewhere around 160 to 140, something along those lines. Kanati is
The same rumored for Kelbrook next year at 154. Kelbrook want to keep himself quiet, stay retired. I would retire if I were Kelbrook.
Okay, yeah, I see him. Yeah, so basically, the guy is just made some more or less significant fights, and people started talking about him in Russian media, because when something like that happens, you start following it, but until some significant fight starts, I cannot say much on him.
One final question before we end the show. Vladimir Klitschko, have you heard anything more about his won't he come back?
I hope I'm not gonna hear anything about him coming back. And well, he said, please don't speculate, he said. But then he said, I still got it. And it's like, I still like it is not the same with I still got it.
We'll have to wait and see then.
Yeah, and I'm more interested actually about Vitaly Klitschko. He wanted to return just for HQ. Well, he's a mayor right now, right? So he cannot abandon his post just to fight somebody who offended his little brother.
Yep.
But his term is coming to an end, and he might come back. But the problem is, I don't know at what Vitaly Klitschko we're gonna see, because there's Vitaly Klitschko at say 2008, 2009 era. That I'm just if it's if it's even 50% of that, AJ is in the world of pain. But if he's, you know, being 45, 46 right now, and he's coming back, I don't know what of that left.
Okay, fair enough. Eugene, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to let people know before we disappear?
No. Just watch for December. All the Eastern European fighters like Lomachenko and Povetkin. He's fighting.
Yes.
Clean. We don't know. We might speculate a little bit, but there are some interesting things still happening in this year. And
absolutely.
And I think somewhere in at the end of January, Usyk will fight with Bredis, and then we can summarize all together what happened.
Absolutely, this could be fantastic. So we're going to do a pay-per-view event, 50p for Eugene versus Bo, the Ukraine versus Cuba versus Lomachenko. That should be fun.
All right, team. It's been really nice to talk to you.
You too, Eugene. Great talking to you again as always. We'll follow you on Twitter, by the way, Eugene.
It's at Pan Yenotko.
Right.
Basically means Mr. Raccoon.
I didn't know that. Now I do know.
Well, because it's in Ukrainian, right? And again, because of KO, and then it's kind of like, you know. Yeah, if you want to follow me, I don't post anything that interesting. If I have something interesting about boxing, I usually forward it directly to Ingram, and you can see it on his page.
People are saying, love this show. Great stuff, Ingram and Eugene. Great show, Ingram and Eugene. Always a pleasure. Big thank you to both of you. We await the collision between Eugene and Bo Bland. I can't remember what I was saying. So, everyone's looking forward to it. So it should be fun. Hearing two really good, articulate guys talking about a great fight between Lomachenko and Rigdal. It's going to be great stuff.
Okay.
And once again, Eugene.
Thank you too, and have a good night.
Will do. Take care. Once again, that is Eugene giving us some Eastern European boxing news. I mean, when we say Eastern European boxing news, it's a lot of news to cover, and Eugene does a good job. Just need to get more information, and of course, it's a huge area to cover. Right? We get to hear about fighters that I've never heard of before, and he's helping with the pronunciation. So hey, that's a good thing. And of course, you can replay this and watch the subtitles with this as well. So if you are non-English speaking, you can get translations for this with the subtitles on the channel. So just click the subtitles and see it. Right, I'm out of here. Thank you all for watching. Have a great evening, and I'm out of here.